Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at another guide in my series of player guides for Marvel Contest of Champions. This time we're going to focus on the lovely Emma Frost. We'll be focusing on tips on how to play her gameplay, her pros, her cons, and so much more. And if you like what you see, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell button up the top to be notified. So let's get started. So the first pro and ability we're going to talk about is her diamond form. We're going to talk about the immunities while she's in diamond form and the ability to be stun resistant. So let's take a look. So when Emma Frost starts the fight, or if the opponent is at least one power level or higher above her, she goes into something called a diamond form state. You'll see that up there in the blue circle in the left hand corner. During this state she's resistant to many things. She's resistant to stun, bleed, poison, incinerate, shock, frostbite, cold snap, concussion, and exhaustion. Also, her armor gives her a 10% chance to block all damage. She has a 1600 added to her armor rating. She has over 350 added to her block efficiency. She has over 1600 added to her physical resistance. She has over 2000 to her critical resistance, and opponents suffer a negative 181 critical damage rating. So you can see she becomes quite the tank. So let's kind of look at it in a little bit more detail. So let's take a look at her stun resistance when she's in diamond form. As we see here, we have a Korg who's duped. Normally when he's duped, he can retaliate after a parry. She has no problem at all, plus she can attack right away with light attacks, taking no damage. Here we have a Black Panther, Civil War with armors up. Normally he attacks right back, but no problem for Emma. Next we're going to have a Medusa. Medusa, when she hits 3 Fury, she can auto parry and stun you, but Emma will plow right through it. So basically anything that will stun Emma won't stun her if she's in diamond form. That includes nodes such as approaching stun or mesmerize. Here we have Yellow Jacket. He hit us with the SB1. Normally you get stunned, doesn't even affect her, no problem at all. So a very great ability when she's in diamond form, but remember, you have to be in diamond form for the stun resistance to work. So as long as you're in diamond form, you are immune to cold snap and frostbite from Iceman. As you can see here at the beginning of the fight, normally Iceman would be doing a lot of damage to me with the cold snap ability, but she's not taking any damage at all. If Iceman happened to hit me with an SB1 here and cause frostbite charges, I would be immune to those as well if I was in diamond form. Now once I shift back into telepath form, if he hit me with a frostbite at that time, I would take regular damage, but if I shifted back into the diamond form once again, it would cancel out any future frostbite charges until I get hit again in telepath form. So now we'll talk about her bleed resistance. This is an Act 5. It's actually a node that makes you bleed for the first 60 seconds of the fight, but since she's in diamond form, she's completely immune to it. And that goes with anything. If Gwenpool hit me, if Blade hit me, if Black Panther here hit me and they caused a bleed, I'd be completely immune to it. Now when I switch back into telepath form and I get a bleed, of course I'll take the damage, but if I have a bleed debuff on me and I switch back to diamond form, it will cancel any existing bleed debuffs that are on. Emma Frost is also completely immune to poison when she's in diamond form mode. This is actually in Act 5 a biohazard node, meaning if she strikes or blocks, she'll either get bleed or poison. She can actually get through it. It's a little more difficult because you're switching into telepath form and you might start to bleed or get poison on you while you're in telepath form. But once you switch back to diamond mode, you actually basically clear those debuffs. So she's not the best champ for biohazard, but she's not bad. She can get by. You can see I'm bleeding there just a little bit, and then I turn into diamond form and then the debuffs are cleared out. So this is just a no, but just remember she's completely poison immune from any champ when she's in diamond form. So champs like Archangel or Mysterio, if they place a poison debuff on her in diamond form, she'll be completely immune. If they place it on her in telepath form and she switches to diamond form, she will cancel out the debuff that is presently on her. So I'm not going to go through every single champ. We'll take a look at a couple more. We'll look at Electro here. She'll actually be immune to his SB1 shock damage, which is coming up in one moment. We'll look at Mysterio coming up here in a second. See, there's immune to the shock damage. Mysterio places a concussion blast after his SP2, even if it doesn't hit, she'll be immune to that. And there's champs like Mephisto, where you're immune to the Incinerate, Human Torch, Incinerate as well. Just take a look at basically what champs you're facing and which debuff she's actually immune to, and remember it's always in diamond form. Emma Frost has two forms, the diamond form you just saw, which is more defensive, and she also has the telepath form, which is more offensive. So let's take a look at that. So Emma starts in diamond form as usual. As an attacker, to get into telepath form, there's two methods. One, you have to be at least one power level ahead of the opponent, or two, you just have to use your special attack. She'll go into telepath form temporarily. So as you see, I'm in telepath form right now. She gains a lot more prowess, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the great thing about her is she can read minds while she's in telepath mode, and evaders will not be able to evade her. As you can see, this Nightcrawler cannot evade even though he's not in swashbuckling mode. Now when I use my SP2, now the opponent is above me in power levels and I drop back down to diamond form. So once again, he will be able to evade while I'm in diamond form. So just to stress again, when she's in telepath form, as you see here, you also see that little gray circle below her health bar. That means she's in telepath form. She can read people's minds, and champs cannot evade. So it doesn't matter what champ it is. It can be a Domino with her lucky evade. It can be Wasp with her evade. It doesn't really matter. Of course, Spider-Man here, they are completely powerless when she's in telepath form. When she's back into her diamond form, once again, they can evade like normal, so just be aware of that. So this is a great ability to have, especially in war when they have some of those enhanced evade nodes, but it also works well against the astral evade of MORDO. When she's in telepath form, which we'll see here in a moment, she can actually parry stun MORDO just like any regular champ, but only in telepath form, so keep that in mind. See, she stuns, he doesn't do his regular astral evade, and she can attack like normal. Now, one of the biggest pros of Emma Frost are her ability to gain prowess charges. She gains them differently in diamond and in telepath form. Basically what prowess charges do is they increase the actual special attack damage. So we'll also talk about the special attacks and also talk about the true damage that the special attacks do. So let's get started. For each prowess charge that is on Emma, when she unleashes a special attack, she gains 10% attack damage per charge. When she's in diamond form, you get the prowess charges by doing a well-timed block or a parry. She can only go to a maximum of 5, but they do not expire in diamond form. But when she switches to telepath form, those 5 will move over, but they'll start to basically expire. And to basically reinitiate them, you actually have to hit the opponent and do critical attacks. And you can get up to 10 at that time. And when you can get up to 10, you can do some massive damage. Also, when she's in telepath form, she gains some more abilities. She gets a 222 critical rate for each active prowess effect, and a 40.82 critical damage rating for each active prowess effect. So basically, what you should be doing is you should build up your 5 prowess charges while you're in diamond form, if possible, so you'll be ready. And then you can move into telepath form, and as they start expiring, you just basically attack the opponent to make sure you do critical hits, and those critical hits will increase and continue the prowess charges that you have at the time. And once you hit around 9 or 10 prowess charges, you'll unleash your special and do some massive damage. Just to add on to that, remember that the higher the number of the prowess charges, the more damage you're likely to do. When you use your special attack, you will remove all prowess charges, so you have to rebuild them once again. And when you actually do your special attack with the prowess charges, it does true damage, ignoring all the opponent's armor. So first we'll take a look at the special one. It's a telepathic attack. It does okay damage. The more prowess charges you have, the better it does, obviously. It also places a power sting on the opponent, so if the opponent uses a special attack within 8 seconds, he'll take a little bit of extra damage, but it does not cause stun like Yellow Jackets. It's a little better in the war on defense, because if she's duped, it causes inverse controls on the opponent, so it might be a little bit more difficult to dodge, but I'd be focusing on the special 2 for the most part. Next, what we have is a Psychic Blast for her special 2. It's probably the best damage dealer of her 3 special attacks. It can do some very nice critical attack damage, especially when you have lots of prowess charges up. It also places a concussion on the opponent for 8 full seconds, and during that concussion, the opponent's ability accuracy is reduced by 50%. So in reality, I'd be focusing on SP2 as much as possible, building up those poise charges and unleashing it to do some massive critical damage. Next, we'll take a look at the special 3. It's not bad in damage, especially if you have your prowess charges up. What it does do is after the SP3, for the next 8 seconds, the opponent's power gain is reduced by 75%. Again, I'd be focusing on the special 2 for the most part, but the SP3 is okay, especially if you have an opponent that's perhaps giving you troubles with the power gain. But in reality, I'd probably be sticking to the SP2 for the most part. Now watch when I hit him here. He'll barely take any power at all from the hits because he has a 75% loss. There you go. So let's move on. So let's move on to the next pro. We're going to take a look at the heavy attacks, her taunt ability, and her signature ability. Now, the heavy attacks are actually a little unusual because they act differently depending on what form she's in, if she's in diamond form or if she's in telepath form. So let's take a look. So first, let's take a look at the heavy attack in diamond form. When you hit in diamond form, you actually gain 50% power from the attack, and the opponents gain 80% less power. So I gain 50% more power, and the opponent gains 80% less. It's very useful because it helps get you into telepath form faster, keeping your opponents lower and you higher, which is what you want to get into your attack phase. So it's a very, very nice ability. Now, if you do a heavy attack in telepath form, as you see here, you have a 60% chance to put a taunt on the opponent for 5 seconds. If the taunt is successful, the opponent's attack will be reduced by 40%, and there will be a 70% chance that he will actually use his special attack if he has enough power to do so. Okay, so next we're going to discuss her signature abilities just a little bit. The first part of her signature ability, which is called White Queen, when Emma Frost uses a special attack, the opponent's controls are reversed until just after the end of the attack. In regards to that, it's completely useless if you're using Emma Frost as an attacker. You're just not going to see it in effect. But if you put Emma Frost on defense, it basically causes the opponents, when they try to evade her special 1 or special 2, they'll have to reverse their controls. So left is right and right is left. So it can cause some problems and get a few kills in defense, so it's not too bad. But a lot of people are getting pretty used to how she works these days. The second thing is, when telepath form is active, and Emma Frost would lose more than 15% of her max health, and that's from a max sig, by the way. From a single source, she activates diamond form for 3 seconds to reduce the damage. This ability activates before checking armor and physical resistance. What that basically means is if she gets hit by a pretty big blast, she has a chance to go into diamond form and basically reduce the damage. It's nothing like Iceman's armor. My personal Emma is only Sig 48, and I think she has around a 25% max health. I haven't really noticed much of a difference when I get hit. So it's not something that I really see very useful yet. Perhaps when I get in the higher signature levels, it'll be more relevant, but we'll have to see. So next we'll look at a few other things. We'll start off, is she still good unduped? Definitely. She still has all her attack abilities when she's unduped. She can still do her amazing special attack damage and most of her abilities. The only thing you're going to get when she's duped is obviously the reverse controls for players in war that are actually attacking your Emma Frost, which you'll never personally see, and you might get a little bit of a health protection bonus from big blasts that hit you. But in reality, I would not use a generic Awakening Gem on Emma Frost, and I probably wouldn't use a mutant Awakening Gem on her either. I just use her as she is and wait for the natural dupe. Now, synergies we'll talk about here in a moment. We'll move on to suicides. Technically, she's a pretty good suicides champ because at the beginning of the fight, she goes into diamond form, which means you cancel out the bleed and poison damage right from the start. The only problem is you want to focus on using her specials a lot, so you will be taking a lot of recoil damage using your special too, so you got to keep that in mind if you want to be a suicide kind of a player. Obviously, defense we've already talked about. She's very good on defense, or at least she's enhanced on defense when she's duped, giving the ability to reverse the opponent's controls. So let's take a look at her synergies. So Emma Frost has some pretty good synergies with Sentinel, Phoenix, Blue or Red Cyclops, they both do the same thing, or Colossus. So when I start the fight here, you're going to notice that my Prowess charges are increasing a lot faster. That's because of the Phoenix synergy. The Phoenix synergy basically means every time I have one Prowess charge added on from whatever I do, either critical hits or perfect blocks, I actually get 2. So your Prowess basically increases double the rate, which is very, very sweet. Now the second synergy that I like is the one with Sentinel. When she goes into diamond form, she actually gets a 15% attack bonus. That's also very nice because she doesn't actually hit as hard in diamond form because she can only go to 5 prowess. So having the extra 15% bonus is pretty nice. Now the third one with the blue or red Cyclops is a little different. Normally when she's in telepath mode, she has to do critical hits to refresh her prowess, and that's by striking the opponent. When you're with a blue Cyclops, you can actually hit the block. And when you actually hit the block, you can actually do critical damage on the block, but it still gives you prowess. We're going to see this here in a moment. See how I hit the block? I get critical hits. That actually is increasing my prowess thanks to the blue and red Cyclops synergy. So the final synergy is with Colossus. It's a little different. It's more of a defensive synergy. Basically, anytime you are the same power level as the opponent, you automatically go into diamond form mode. So it's more about protecting yourself than anything else. I can't think of a lot of reasons to use it. Maybe in something like the biohazard node where you're trying to basically not take any bleed or poison damage. So going into the telepath mode, you don't want to be doing that very often. You want to stick to the diamond form. And this is something that can really help you with that. But being in diamond form, you don't get that extra attack bonus with the 10 prowess charges. And it's just not as effective in my opinion. So I have to think about perhaps why this particular synergy might be useful, but all I can think of right now is it's more set on kind of a defense posture instead of an attack posture. So there you have it. She has a lot of abilities on the pro side of things, but now let's take a look at some of her cons. So let's quickly go through some cons. There is a build-up for the champ, and her regular attacks do not hit that hard. Emma really depends on her prowess and her special attack damage. So you really have to build her up by getting your prowess charges up in diamond form by parrying and blocking, and then when you get into telepath form you have to do critical hits to bring it up. So the higher the prowess the better. I wouldn't rely on her regular attacks that much and really focus on getting that prowess number high, and her special attack damage will be stronger. So let's take a look at a couple more cons. The first one would be the armor debuff and then no regeneration. If Emma gets a armor debuff placed on her, she will not be able to go into diamond form. So you got to keep that in mind. The diamond form will not work until the armor debuff expires, so you won't get the stun resistant or any of the immunities. Also, she has no regeneration at all, so it's kind of good maybe to beef up your block proficiency, as you're going to have to take some block damage to build up your prowess charges, because you won't be able to actually heal back any of that damage. So the next cons we're going to take a look at are her synergy partners and her power drain nodes. Now, it's a little different when I say synergy partners. She actually has good synergies. She has the 15% attack bonus in diamond form with Sentinel. She has the double the prowess charges when she's with Phoenix. She gets to hit on the block and cause criticals with blue Cyclops or red. And she gets to stay in diamond form if the opponent's at the same power level with Colossus. Those are all pretty good. The thing is, not a lot of people rank up those other champs except for Sentinel. Sentinel obviously everybody loves, and he's very popular. Phoenix, not many people rank up except for Prestige, so you know, not a lot of people use her. And then Cyclops and Colossus, nobody really uses them at all except for Cyclops against Havoc. And Colossus is having a buff up in September, I believe, so hopefully that buff will make him a lot more usable. So yes, her synergies are good, but you don't have the best group of heroes to bring along with you in a quest team, except for Sentinel in my opinion. Maybe Phoenix if you're really good at her. Now, part B of that con, I talked about the power gain nodes, and what I mean by that is Emma really depends on her special attacks and prowess. So if she doesn't have the ability to do her special attacks, she's really quite weak. So if she's on a particular node that doesn't let her get to special 2, or doesn't let her get power, or if she's against a particular opponent that's drained her power and she can't get to her special 1 or special 2, she can't do too much. The prowess charges are only good for the actual special attack damage, so you just got to keep that in mind in particular nodes and quests where power gain might be affected, that she might not be the right champ for you. So the next con, and it's not really a big con, it's basically not noticing when you switch back into a different form. In the intense fights that you sometimes go, you know, there's a lot going on with Emma Frost. She's gaining power, the opponent's gaining power. You have to watch, am I gaining power too fast? Am I gaining power too slow? When do I want to release my special? I want to be in telepath form. Oh, I just got a bleed or a poison on me. I want to get back to diamond form. How do I do that as quickly as possible? So there's a little bit of skill to her. She's just not walk in there and just start whacking away. You really got to figure out how to use your heavy attacks to gain power. When to use your special 2, when to use your special 1, when to use your special 3. Yeah, she's a bit of a complicated champ, but she's so much fun to play, and she's definitely worth a look-see if you're considering her. So there you have it, guys. That is my guide on Emma Frost. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, dislike, comment, give me new suggestions on how to use her better. I'm always ears for extending my own particular knowledge. I think she's a really fun champ to play. Yes, she's probably not the best mutant champ out there, but she's pretty solid. She has a lot of cool abilities. Once you get used to playing her and what she can do, she can get you through a lot of difficult content. I think she's better as an attacker. I know some people thought she was going to be a more of a defensive champ, but in my opinion, she has so many uses on attack, and I really enjoy playing her. So, like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you soon, and take care, everybody.
Target identified. Analysis complete. Please subscribe.